few weeks ago, I had the pleasure of attending an event with a pro Go player. It was the first time I've ever, played a game with a pro for sure. I had at least met a pro one other time before, but that was pretty brief. I didn't really even exchange any words. But the pro I'm talking about is a Japanese pro named Kenro Osawa, and he had an event in LA. It's been over a month since the event, but he had an event where people could come and we would do various things like play a simultaneous game with him, which was incredibly fun. And I just thought I'd go over some of the stuff that happened during that event. But first, this is a podcast called Starpoint, where I try to talk about Go-related stuff. I think I will talk a lot about the theme of improvement in Go. I think that'll definitely be a central theme of this podcast, but anything that comes to mind for me when it comes to Go, I'll talk about. And typically, or especially things that don't require someone to have a Go board right in front of them to understand. So back to this event. It was hosted by the Santa Monica Go Club in Los Angeles. And it was this particular professional, Kenro Osawa. It was his first time in the States. And so he wasn't fluent in English. So he did an introduction in English, but that was the extent of his knowledge. And from there on out, he had an interpreter to explain what he was saying to the rest of us. And so to get to the simultaneous game that I got to play with him, he just kind of went around. There was like 20 or so people that he was playing against, and he would ask each of them what their rank are. Well, we had name tags where we would write down our ranks. So I think I put 4Q on my tag, and he looked at the 4Q thing and said, okay, you can put down 6 stones. So I put down 6 stones, and we started the game, and he would spend a few seconds at each table and then play a move. Sometimes when he saw that there was a logical sequence, an obvious sequence, he would stick around and just play out the sequence with the other player. But overall, he would just kind of dart from table to table. But what was really impressive was that he gave everyone a mini review, like a 5-minute review afterwards, because he remembered all the sequences from all the 20 games that he was playing. That was cool. And of course, when he was reviewing the game, he had his translator next to him, and she was trying to describe all the different terms he was using. But what was actually quite fascinating to me, because it's something that we always say, is that Go is a language. We even call it hand talk. And I really think that analogy is a strong one. I've always thought of Go as a language, and that analogy came to life with this experience, because what happened was he would explain certain concepts on the board to me, like, oh, you should Atari this way, and you can't Atari this way because if black plays here and white plays here, then there's a ladder that's in black's favor, etc., etc. And he would try to explain these to me, and the translator was doing a great job of explaining what he was saying, but at a certain point she got lost, and it was me and the pro understanding what he was trying to say to me without the need for the translator, where the translator's really just trying to explain some words. I don't know how strong she was in terms of playing the game, but I imagine, like, even if she was a strong player, it's hard for her to translate and also read the board at the same time. So what was crazy was that she's there to help bridge the gap, and as an English and Japanese speaker. But the deeper he got into the concepts when he was explaining the game in the review, the more she got lost and the more we connected over the concepts that are on the board. He would kind of gesture out a certain sequence and I would understand like right away, like, oh, I see. Like, I can't do that because that'll be death for white or such and such. And even like smaller gestures, he would say something like, oh, why didn't you block here, right? And I would be like, oh yeah, you're right, I should have blocked there. I immediately saw what he was trying to say. Whereas the translator, all she knows is that he's saying something about blocking something. And that's like, she can fill in those words for me, but I didn't actually need that. Like, I know what he's trying to say just by the way he's putting the stones on the board, where he's pointing at the area he's pointing at, the expression he has on his face, right? And it's really interesting because there's no need for words at a certain point. I was lucky enough to grab a spot with him on a smaller correspondence level, where he would, it's not correspondence, I'm mixing up correspondence with simultaneous. So after the event, there was some time reserved for people who paid a little extra for a more private lesson with him. And so I jumped at that chance because I was originally going to spend some money on lunch, the lunch that was provided that day, but I was a little too late in registration, so I didn't even get to they had ordered lunch. They had ordered the catering already, so I was like, they had cut off some of the money they cut off the fee from my admission. So I was like, oh, I was gonna spend money on lunch anyway, so it's like, might as well spend it on the extra time for the private lesson. And it was like $20 for like a more private kind of situation with him. So it was like 4 or 5 people or something like that. And he played a simultaneous game with like the small group of 4 or 5 of us. And this time he didn't just tell us which handicap to take. He asked us if we'd rather have a handicap game or an even game. And I just like even games because it just feels like that's what it's supposed to be. And I wanted to learn like what to do in an even game rather than what to do in a handicap game. I'm not a huge fan of handicap games. I mean, they're okay. I don't mind them, but it feels kind of weird to me. Like, the situation's a little different. It feels a little off, but that's, I'll take it when I can, right? So I asked for an even game, and not to think that I have any chance, right? He beat me in the handicap game of 6 stones already, so it's like I don't need to even think about that. But I just wanted to know like what the flow of the stones should be, right? And we didn't play like the full game all the way to the end. We played a good amount, though. We cover like most of the board. But that was a really good experience. And then he had a review with me on that afterwards, and answered a question of mine that I had, where there was another like moment of like where he just explains the moves by playing them out on the board, and then he doesn't even need to really say much, just whatever's on the board speaks for itself kind of thing, which is super cool. And the other events that day were a bunch of fun ones, like just some 9x9 games. He taught us how to play Music Go, which was pretty cool too. It was I did not know what Music Go was before this, but he had this like song play. I guess it was like it's some like famous Japanese show. And it's like in the credits or something. I wish I knew the name. I forgot the name, but he played this song, and then the song had this very interesting characteristic where after every few after every couple measures, it would have this like beat, like tok, right? It was like dun 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 tok, dun 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 dun, something like that, right? And then he asked us like to play a move at that sound, like on that sound. So it's kind of like a blitz game almost, a rhythmic blitz game kind of thing. And what else did we do? We also played like group simul. How do you explain this? This is like, so we split up the room into like 3 large groups and then put down 3 boards, and he played simultaneous games with each of the boards where each of us were like rotating to play moves. So each of the groups were line up behind each board and play a move to the back of the line, play a move to the back of the line while he's playing against 3 boards. And that was fun. We were kind of like, our group was very worried about our situation. At the end of the game, he told us that we won. I mean, we did take handicap, I think, to start, but he told us that we won the game. So we were kind of like, well, did we really? And we were kind of surprised. But overall, it was a really great experience. And yeah, I would definitely do it again if I think he was saying that he was planning on visiting again. So if you're in the, I don't know where he plans on going, if he plans on making it a normal thing in LA, but if you're in that area, maybe next year, 2024, he'll come back and you'll have a chance to register and play some Go with a professional. So yeah. In other news, not news, but regarding my personal Go journey, and to speak to where I'm currently at, I'm a little bit on a hiatus. I'm kind of taking a step back from the game a little bit. After playing pretty regularly, I've been spending a little more time doing some reading problems, right? Some life and death stuff, and not playing as many games. I do intend to go back into it, but I just want to let myself breathe a little bit and just kind of, just kind of focus on reading and just studying a little bit before going back into kind of the grind of playing games, and just think about like what I want to do, to improve, whether it's like, do I want to continue playing fast games like I've been doing, where it's like 5 minutes main time, 30-second Byoyomi on Fox, or do I want to take it slowly? Do I want to focus a little more on my slow games, and how often am I going to be playing them, kind of thing. And so, yeah. Actually, a more appropriate follow-up to in other news is the news of the first. Okay, scratch that. Not first. The 8th. Way off. That was a little bit of a brain fart there. The 8th North American pro, Michael Chen, otherwise online commonly known as Z Chen, has become the professional for 2023. And apparently they're going to be holding pro qualifiers every year from this point on. That's what I heard in the rumor mill. Because before the AGA didn't, like, I don't remember when, like, the NA Go Federation formed a few years ago, and up until then the AGA had thought we're too weak to have a pro every year. There's not enough strong players to be pumping out pros every year, and maybe the situation's changed. Maybe there's more players now. Or maybe there's other reasons, but for whatever reason it is, they're planning on having a pro qualification every year. This time I wasn't sure. I wasn't able to get an answer to the question of like whether every year it'll be held in the San Francisco Go Club, which I have had the pleasure of visiting. It's a really great, I had never seen that many Go boards before, but then again, I hadn't been to a bigger tournament at that point. But that's really exciting because I think regardless of whether our pool of professionals is strong enough to compete overseas, I feel like we still, we need more professionals. I don't know how to put it, but like, it's just good. Like, I feel like we should focus on our in-house pro scene rather than trying to compare it too much to the pro scenes in Asia. And like, if you're champion of North America, that's a big accomplishment. Like, whether you're, even if you're not going to be a very strong pro in Korea or Japan or China, like, we should have our own like celebration for people who exceed our the kind of average strong player, quote unquote, skill level. So I think it's a really good thing. Congrats to Zichen for becoming a pro. Been watching him for a while, just kind of streaming randomly on Twitch. And he's always got really insightful things to say about the game. If you don't know, there's a documentary called The Surrounding Game. It's like a must watch for every Go player in North America, I think. That documentary features him. He's not like a main character in that documentary. He's like a supporting role kind of thing, because the documentary kind of centers around like Andy Liu's like rise to the top as the first American professional, and Michael Chen's kind of off to the side, providing lots of like little wisdoms. And he's been around the Go scene for a long time, and he's just a super. He clean sweeps them. He went 9 wins out of nine games at this pro qualification. He wasn't able to participate before because of his citizenship situation. I don't think he was an American citizen quite yet. And so he acquired a citizenship, and now he was able to compete in this pro qualification. He qualified with flying colors, and I would love to see this guy play against the current pros like Ryan Lee. That would be great. And see how he performs overseas as well. So that's really exciting. I hope we get more streams out of him too. And I hope it doesn't take away that part of what he's been doing in the Go world. But yeah, it's really exciting, I think. And the production quality of this year's pro qualification, it exceeds. I think it was run by Baduk Club, and it exceeds everything like I've seen out of North America, like the Western Go scene, like in terms of just like the production quality, the organization of it. There were so many amazing guests and streamers and YouTubers that came in to commentate. Of course, there's lots of room for improvement. I would love to see better shots of the actual event. The video quality of the actual event was not great. There was obviously audio issues. They're still working a lot of kinks out, some connection issues. But overall, it was really well done. They clearly put a lot of thought into trying to set it up correctly. And so I'm really happy about that whole thing, because it needs to be better. Like the publicity of Go in North America needs to be better. We need to have better mics, better streaming quality, better commentary, better interactivity. We need all of that. Just look at chess. Look at where chess is right now. It's miles ahead of Go right now. And we need to get up there if we want anyone to start playing this game. And we'll see, because this is really optimistic. I really liked Baduk Club's coverage of this whole thing. And I'm excited to see more. So with that, I think I'll just leave it here. I don't know if I introduced the podcast. I probably did. I'm sorry, I have short-term memory loss. But this podcast, I mean, it's called Start Point, and we are going to talk about Go. That's pretty much it. I think I kind of remembered saying something about that earlier on. In any case, if I did, I said it again. Start Point. I'll see you in the next episode. So keep playing Go. See ya.